Aha! Greetings, one and all. Before you right now is Eric Kinney, and I'm Seymour Segnet. Welcome to 2018. It's our first weekly update of the new year. January 5th, Friday, January the 5th. Very excited about the new year, aren't you, Eric? You looking forward to it? We've got some exciting stuff in the pipeline.
Indeed. Yep.
We thought
things coming up.
Yeah, a couple of our guys work in China, so they've been busy over Christmas. We have taken a little bit of time off to refresh and relax, and as you can see, we're looking newly energized. But I thought, but you guys have not been very busy sending us in questions, so please send us questions to hello@magfast.com. We love hearing from you, love answering your questions. But I thought what we would do today is just go through probably an incomplete list of what we've got on our plates for 2018, and we were just chatting about it before, and I think you wrote them down, didn't you, Eric? So let's just.
I did.
Yeah.
And I got one question in, but then I needed some clarification on it. So we'll let those build up, and then we'll just kind of look.
We'll do some questions next week. So I'll get the board here in case we need to illustrate anything. So in no particular order, let's go through a whole bunch of things that we're going to be.
Yeah, I didn't order these. So So some things that are coming up for 2018 is scaling up pre-orders.
Yeah. So this is key because you have helped us to launch a company, and basically the pattern, if you look at the sales pattern so far, it's been like this. Okay, we did our test launch, right? And then we kind of said it's a 30-day test launch, so there was a little bump at the end as always. And then it's just basically been like this the whole time. All right? And during this period here, we've been working on everything else that you need to make the company happen. So we're working on website stuff, the gifting stuff. We'll talk about again in a minute. All sorts of back-end technology and database stuff, and of course the product development stuff, which goes on, as you know, forever, and is well underway, but just takes these huge chunks of time. But as we now move towards shipping, which we think is still on track for late summer of this year, we want to ramp up more of the pre-orders, because what we found is you guys are amazing, right? This is you guys here. You guys are kind of amazing, and what we found is that by doing these weekly updates and being very transparent about everything that's going on, we feel like we're comfortable having a few more folks kind of join us on the pre-order track. So we're going to work on doing that, and be careful with how we bring this graph up here, because we want to make sure one of the things that Eric and I both have experience of from the past is having things go too quickly here and actually having real trouble with customer service, and we want to make sure that we kind of keep things the way they are at the moment, and make sure that any new folks feel, as I hope you do, part of the family. Right, what else have we got to do this year, Eric?
Well, it was interesting when you said shipping this year, and I'm like, that's the first I've heard that. It's always been next year.
Yeah, it has always this year. It's always been next year, and now it's this year. Yeah. All right, what's next on the list?
So we've got, and you introduced one I don't have on the list. You said we'll talk about it in a minute. I don't even have it on the list, but it is one of the ones we've just most recently been working on is gift.
So we showed you this in the previous videos. We've got this thing we're going to do. Well, first of all, many of you watching this now are backers who are getting the Pro Kit, or maybe have pre-ordered some of the individual items, and some folks watching it now haven't made that commitment yet, but we had offered a free wall for showing up at the event, and so we're going to have the thing where you can go pick up the free wall. Our humble request to you is that as you pick up your free wall, you add 1 or 2 extra bits and pieces to it, so that helps to mitigate the costs and so on. And I think you can feel pretty good about doing that because the accessories are so great. But we're also going to give you guys some walls to give to friends and family. So that's what Eric was just mentioning that wasn't on his list, is this whole gifting thing, and we showed you a preview of that recently. We'll be rolling that out in the coming weeks. What's next on the list?
Affiliate partnerships.
Yeah, affiliate partnerships. So as part of this kind of taking the ramp up here, we're going to be looking for partnerships with other appropriate companies who can maybe send some traffic over for people who might like this. Maybe we can do some stuff with the wall promotion stuff that we told you about. If you're in the affiliate business, we'd love to hear from you. hello@magfast.com. hello@magfast.com. Eric has some experience with that. You might even hear back from him personally. Next on the list.
Packaging.
Packaging is fun. We did a show. Like this is a show. We did a weekly update.
Well, you'd shown us the box.
A while back, some work where we were working on the box. Yeah. So packaging is this funny area, right? Because at the moment, every customer, every pre-order customer, every backer, every supporter, there's this feeling that you guys kind of know us, and so do we need to give you good packaging because it's going to be thrown away? Like you're going to get it, open the box up, take the great stuff out, and then the packaging is going to be thrown away. So should we be investing in packaging? Should we not? I think the answer is you guys deserve great packaging. Many folks will be giving it as gifts, and eventually when we go to retail, we'll actually talk about retail in just a second, but eventually when it's showing up in other places other than directly from us, we want to make sure that we look terrific. So we're excited to do, it's one of the great places I get to work with my wife Amy, who's a fantastic graphic designer. So more work to be done on packaging. Next on the list, please.
Final engineering approval.
Yeah, so there's so many, man, I tell you,
there's multiple pieces to that.
Yeah,
because there's multiple items.
Working on something like this really gives you an appreciation. If you go down to and you walk into Walmart or Target or any store at all, and we're used to, as people who live in the West, right, we're used to going into these stores and seeing hundreds, thousands upon thousands of products, and we think nothing of it. And every single one of those was a real massive undertaking for the people who made it. So we're making, these sort of 6 or 7 or 8 different products. I guess the total number of variants is more because there's different colors and there's some international versions and so on. But we're making this relatively limited number of products, and they have things that are in common, as you know, and then there are things that are completely different. The one that we call wall, MAGFAST wall, that plugs into the wall, tips store neatly in the back and so on. That one requires UL certification. It's actually not it's not a legal requirement. We could just make it and ship it to you, but we never would do that because there is no retailer in America that would ever take a product that didn't have UL certification if it plugs into the wall. So critical for safety. Takes an extra...
And UL certification was next on my list.
Yeah, and UL certification takes 3 months out of the timeline, and you can't just send them. You can't send them your plans. You can't send them even a final prototype. You have to send them the first products that come out of the mold. So you have to get everything finished. You have to be certain you've got everything sorted out. And the extra twist here is that it's like we could start making the mold for wall now, because obviously because there's an extra 3 months in the timeline. That's the most critical one to get started on. But as we do final tweaks to the battery packs that go with it, it's like, well, what if we're making the tool for wall when we decide we'd rather have some tiny little change because of the battery packs? And as you know, the whole battery thing proved to be more challenging than expected. We lost a bit of time there. We've got a great new company working on it, Max Power. But we have the sense of course we want to ship it as soon as possible, but we're even more concerned about getting it right. And there's a quote, I can never remember the exact words, but my friend Christopher Hawker, the inventor, and actually is a sort of mentor and a friend of ours, now he always says, that a poor product is poor forever. A product that arrives a few weeks late is just a few weeks late. So we're gonna make sure that we ship you something magnificent, and it'll be broadly within the timeline that we originally thought. All right, next on the list after UL certification is
tooling, which actually comes before UL certification.
Yes, it does. So tooling, I've spoken about before. These tools that are used to make the molds that make all of these individual items are astonishing things. I think I'll go over when it's appropriate a little later in the year. I'm going to go over there and I'll take this kind of the cell phone camera and show you some of the tools and stuff. It'll blow your mind. But some you may have heard me say this before watching this. But a tool to make one of our products, which is they're kind of like the size of your hand. The tool is kind of like this big, made out of solid hardened steel, weighs, I don't know, half as much as your car. It's sort of the size of a small kitchen appliance or something. and they just and it's incredible skill to make them. You don't get to make any mistakes, and it's a mold. It's like a jelly mold, right? So it's the opposite of what the final result is going to be. If you want this, right? If you want a product to be this, then you have to make a mold that's this. Yeah, you understand? You understand
and
what I'm
you
saying?
can never add material, but you can remove.
Right. So you can. So it's essentially they're chiseling away at this hardened steel block, and they have to go very carefully, because if they go too far, you can't really fill it in. You know what I mean? It's not like you can just sort of get some putty and stick it in and fill it out again. So they tend to go very, very gently, and so the result of not taking away enough metal, right, is that you have less product, and you go, oh, we need some more plastic there. So then you go and you scrape more out of the tool. It's this incredible process. It takes months to do, and I can't wait for us to get started on the first one of those. I wish I could tell you we've already started. We haven't, and we just tell you the way it is. Next on the list.
Test run of manufacturing.
Yeah, so once all of the tools are made, while the tools are being made, all of the components are being sourced from around the world, and that's not all around the world, but I mean there's a supply chain, so all of these parts have to come together at the same time. And typically what you do is you do an initial test manufacturing run of maybe 50 or 100 pieces. This is certainly the time, maybe one of the times that I will go out to see the first.
Visit the factory.
Yeah, to see the first ones come off the line, give any comments or feedback about the way things are going. The people we're working with are kind of top of the range, so I don't anticipate any problems. But I think it's sort of I think it's good to be there. I think it'd be fun for you guys, wouldn't it? Would you let us know in the comments? But I mean, wouldn't it be fun if we were there for the first ones coming off the line? You could get a little iPhone video action down there. What was I saying? Yeah, so you do a test run of 100 pieces just to kind of test the manufacturing process, right? Because again, everything that we own, every item that you see when you walk in the store, unless it's a cup or something, and even a cup, even a single item cup has a far more complicated process than you'd expect. But any electronics item has got all of these components, they're assembled in a particular order, all sorts of safety requirements and this, that, and the other. And you also want the manufacturing to be as efficient as possible. We want as few individual motions as possible to get the thing assembled. Because even though these are premium products, so we don't have the kind of insane downward pressure on costs that a lot of the kind of cheap, junky stuff has. We still want to make sure that as many dollars as possible are going into developing the company and looking after our people and that kind of thing, rather than being spent on an unnecessarily expensive manufacturing process. So this work goes on to refine the process. Hang on, if we move that from here to there, that'll double the speed at which this can be done, and those sorts of things. So you do a test process to kind of iron out the kinks before then going on to make thousands of pieces.
And then that's the next one, full manufacturing.
Yeah.
On the test manufacturing, is that where the UL certified units come out of?
No, you would do those sooner. You do those because basically this first tool for wall, like the minute that tool is ready, and sometimes even like a couple of revisions before, you could probably go to UL without the very final polishing on the tool, like kind of thing. But essentially, what you send to UL has to be what you will be shipping to customers. So that'll go after. We actually UL is it's a little bit in England where I come from. You say Hoover, meaning vacuum, right? And in this industry, the word UL is used meaning is very often used in that way, meaning certification. UL, Underwriters Laboratories, is the name of the best known of the labs. We will probably use ETL, which we've used in the past. Our friends at P3 have used in the past because they tend to be a touch quicker and sort of easier to work with, to put it in simple language.
Next up on the list is fulfillment. And
you know what fulfillment means? That means shipping it to you. Which is another, extraordinarily complicated operation if you've never done it before. It's like fulfillment. I mean, there are people who have whole careers specializing in fulfillment. But I think probably what we are going to do, there isn't a final decision on this yet, but probably what we'll do is to actually bring the inventory in, make sure everything's fine, and then actually store it at Amazon. And I know they're kind of taking over the world, but we have to make the choices that are right for the business. And the great thing about storing and shipping from Amazon is obviously they know what they're doing. We have good interfaces in and out of them, but also eventually we want our stuff to be available other than from magfast.com. And the first place we would want it to be available, obviously, is Amazon.com. And they can use the same inventory. Inventory management, having how many pieces have you got at each location, is an incredibly difficult thing to do. It brings companies down when they get this stuff wrong, as we know from our own harsh experience. By having all of our inventory essentially in one place, although Amazon with their computers and systems actually split it up across the country, but as far as we're concerned, we send Amazon 100 of something. And we know that there's 100, and then one is sold on Amazon and 2 are sold on our website, and then we know there's 97 of them. And that makes a huge difference to kind of efficiency. Really makes a massive difference. And then we can also be part of their Prime program and so on in due course. So that's what we're thinking about there. We might do. There is. I'm trying to remember their name. Having a senior moment. There's another company that does, often when there are these big launches like the iPhone launch and so on, there's a company we've spoken to in the past that can handle like these huge movements of a lot at the same time. And depending on how this graph goes here, I don't know how we're going to be shipping right at the very beginning. But if it's a larger number, we might work with them on sort of zipping out the initial batch. But Amazon ship pretty large quantities every second of every minute of every hour of every day, so I think they can probably handle what we've got. This seems like a lot. Can we do all of this, Eric? Have we got the capacity? Have we got the motivation to do all of this?
Yep.
Yeah. What else you got there?
So the last two, I don't know which order you want these in, but since you just talked about fulfillment and Amazon, the last one you had was not retail. And then you've also got investment. I don't know which one you want to talk about.
So let's just do not retail, seeing as it follows on from that. So one thing we will not be doing is trying to get into lots of retailers initially. Down the road, maybe. But the reason for this is that it becomes incredibly complicated. First of all, retailers are a nightmare to deal with, as we've learned in the past. They're incredibly demanding. They take a huge amount of the profit, and they offload all of the risk onto manufacturers these days. Our beloved friends at P3 have been doing this for 30 years, and they'll tell you how the business has changed in that time. But basically, if you take a big order from one of the big box stores, they expect you to. They'll give you no money. They'll be very demanding about where you deliver what and when. You deliver to them. They then won't pay you for 60 or 90 days, and then they may they may then display the product very poorly or whatever so that it doesn't sell, and then they expect you to take it all back again, to buy it back from them. So it's incredibly demanding on young companies to do this. Meanwhile, if you look at companies like two that come to mind, Dollar Shave Club and Leesa, the mattress company, Leesa, Leesa, I think it is. There's a kind of a new breed of companies that you get it from them. You buy from them and only from them, directly from them, and that means that they are able to control the flow of traffic, control the customer experience much more tightly. We've had this in the past where products have been sold by someone who doesn't know what the product is, can't service it properly, and people are giving it lousy reviews just because of the way that they got to the product, whereas there's nothing wrong with the product at all. So certainly for the foreseeable future, we will not be attempting to go out into multiple retailers. And then the final one on this was
investment.
Was investment, yeah, because for most of a year now, we've been getting folks saying, hey, I kind of like what you're doing. Is there any chance of investing? And we've been saying, well, not yet, not yet, not yet. And we have been, it's actually extremely complicated to put together. There's all sorts of crazy Securities and Exchange Commission rules around it. We weren't allowed to, because of the way we thought we were going to be doing it. One of the rules of the way we were going to be doing it was that you're not allowed to ever mention to anybody that you're going to be doing it until you're doing it. So that's why we haven't spoken about it before. But we're currently putting together a program at the moment, which we think, which won't unfortunately be, again because of SEC rules, not because of ours, it won't be possible for anybody to invest. You'll have to meet certain criteria in order to be allowed to do it because of SEC rules designed to protect small retail investors. But we think that'll be fun, and whether or not you are able to participate or choose to participate in that, we think it'll be fun for you to kind of hear about how it's going. Maybe you'll learn stuff that'll be helpful to you or in your own business, and we're certainly happy to kind of share everything we learn along the way about that. So that's what we're doing this year. What are you up to this year? Why don't you send us an email, hello@magfast.com. We'd love to hear. hello@magfast.com. Is that it, Eric?
Yep, that's it. I don't know if this little guy's head was popping up in the video at all, but so I'm keeping him at bay here a little bit. So I just figured if somebody saw the top of his head.
Introduce him properly.
Oh, this is Coco Bean. Yep, and just a young guy. So. Well,
Happy New Year, Coco Bean. Happy New Year to you. hello@magfast.com. Do please drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you. Eric and Amy and Amanda will answer your questions directly and privately if that's what you want, or we can answer them here on the weekly roundup, or both. hello@magfast.com. Thanks so much. This is over and out for our first, what is this, number 39, is it?
It is.
Update number 39.
First one of the new year.
Yeah, for Friday, January the 5th, 2018. Welcome to 2018.